everyone, I'm MaryAnn. I'm a visual artist and voice coach from Singapore, currently in Singapore, and welcome to another installment of my weekly vlog series, Live Your Dream. So this is where I share whatever I'm learning in my journey of pursuing my passion, of going after something that is worthy and meaningful as a purpose for me. And yeah, if you're in that journey as well of making your wildest dream come true and you are maybe stuck or you need some encouragement, need some inspiration, well, this is what this whole vlog series is about. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can also directly message me through any one of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. So today I want to talk about the random day that I just had, okay? And what I mean by the random day, I don't mean like, oh, it's just a random day in my life. I mean like, I decided that today I went out, it was my day off, and I decided that, you know what, I have no idea what I really want to do. I mean, I have my usual go-to activities, which I kind of, go to every single time I have a day off. And this time around, I was just like, I got the idea from my, recently I was in a project coaching group where I started working on getting a wall to paint my next mural here in Singapore. And one of my classmates in this group coaching session, she shared that she's very fixated on things and she likes to have things within her control. And so the coach suggested to her, well, you could always do something like a random day, like, roll a dice and let the dice choose for you, like where you're gonna go, what you're gonna eat, where you're gonna like the activities you're gonna do, that kind of thing. So I thought that was a really interesting idea. It really inspired me, and here I am today and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm going to download a Randomiser app on my phone, and I'm going to use that as a way of figuring out what I'm going to do today, where am I going to go, and let the universe decide for me. So the first thing I did was, well, I mean, part of me was like, hey, a random day would be interesting. The other thing was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do a random day. So in my Randomiser app, you can actually create like a wheel option where you can put a few options and like spin the wheel and see which one it points to, right? So I put a few things into my wheel, including a random day, including my usual go-to places, and then a couple of other places that I thought might be interesting that I wasn't sure if I wanted to go that day. And then I hit spin, and the very first thing that it landed on was random day. And then I tried to fight it. I tried to fight it by spinning again. I was like, okay, 3 out of 5 or something, right? Or like best out of 5. So out of the 5 spins, random day got 2 hits, and then something else got 2 hits, and something else got 1 hit. So I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't fight it. I should just roll with it. So the first thing I did was I went to the bus stop and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on like a bus, right? But I don't know which bus. So I rolled the dice on the app, and it rolled number 2. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the second bus that comes, and I'm gonna get on that bus, and then I'll roll the dice again to see which stop I was gonna get off at. So that was kind of the whole process, right? And even when I got off at that bus stop, I was like, okay, what do I do now? Do I go to the right or do I go to the left? And so that was when I tried the yes or no option, which is like, I would just ask out loud, do I turn right? And then I'll hit the button and see whether it tells me yes or no. And that's how I went about my random day. So a few interesting things happened. One was that if I hadn't gone down a certain path that I did, I actually came across a lizard kind of, slithering across the path. And I mean, I know it's a lizard, it's not like, it's not like a rare occurrence here in Singapore, but I just thought that, hey, that was interesting that, this lizard like slithered right in front of me just as I was, turning that corner. And then the other thing was I ended up at the place where I painted my very first murals in Singapore. It was another artist designs, and then he hired a few people to assist him to paint these murals. So there are 4 of them, and they're all in this neighborhood in Singapore. And through my random app leading me around, I started to end up in that area, and I went, oh, okay, And then I asked the app, should I go visit the murals that I painted? And the app said yes. So that's what I did. I went to visit these 4 murals, in a strange way, kind of getting connected to my own journey as a mural and street artist, and realizing that, this was the very start of all of it. This, very gig was where I learned a lot about mural painting, about painting walls, which I never learned before. And interestingly, I remember when I was painting these murals, there were, people would come and crowd around and they would watch. And there were these 2 older gentlemen who came to, hang around where I was painting, and I overheard one of them saying to the other, like, these artists, they were finally, discovered and given a chance to paint the walls or something like that. And he was saying it to his friend, and then somehow, like, I can't remember exactly what they said, but I got the feeling that, one of them really wanted to be an artist too, and maybe he felt like he missed the boat. Maybe he felt like, he wasn't given those opportunities or something. Like, I don't know, I just got the sense of, like, there was a sense of regret, maybe a sense of, like, is this even still possible for me, kind of thing. And that came back to me as I was, looking at the walls, because I remembered that conversation that I overheard. And I think he was also trying to ask me how I got this opportunity. And so I don't know, it's like, signs from the universe, like maybe a reminder to myself that I better do the things that I really want to, because, otherwise one day you're going to be old and you're going to regret not actually having done the things you wanted to, something like that. I don't know. And after visiting the murals, I went to a cafe that I kind of walked by it and I thought, hey, this place looks kind of cool. And then, and I'm, as much as I like to say that I like new experiences, I'm not very brave around, like, going for them, and sometimes I get self-conscious, like, would these people judge me for being here? I don't know why I have that. But yeah, I decided that, okay, I'm gonna ask the app, should I go into this cafe and get a drink here? And it said yes. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna just follow this app. So I went in there. I even, like, picked a few items on the menu and kind of put it into the spinning wheel thing as well, and got that to decide for me what to order. So I tried a beetroot cake, like, I don't know, it was like a raw food cake kind of thing. It was actually pretty good. Not the usual kind of cake I would go for, but interesting experience that I never had before. And then even after that, I decided that I was gonna go, again, like, use the app to decide for me where I was gonna go. And I ended up walking by this restaurant, which has the name of this band that I used to like a lot in Nashville. And so I'm like, hey, that's interesting, and it stood out to me. So I asked the app, should I go in for a drink? And it said yes. So I ended up in there for the very first time in my life, sitting at the bar by myself and drinking something. This is something I've always wanted to try, like, go sit at a bar by myself, because I don't drink alcohol. And I always fear that, would people judge me for not ordering an alcoholic drink, or would, like, people see me as, like, I'm looking for some action or something if I'm sitting alone at the bar. I don't know. So I just went in there and I ordered a non-alcoholic drink, and I sat at the bar, and then I realized that, what, I'm always the one that stops myself from, going after these new experiences. Like, I'm always the one who tells myself, like, it's not, I don't know, like, I don't deserve it or something, or that people will judge me. And this is the exact thing that has been holding me back from a lot of the things that I want to try, and a lot of the things that I want to explore in my life. There's always this constant fear that, I would do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, and especially if it's an unfamiliar territory. It's like, I don't know, like, there's this fear that I would mess up somehow, or that I don't know the rules, and then I would not play by the rules, and then someone would judge me or scold me for it. And I don't know exactly where all this comes from. But what I learned from this random day today is that I really want to be able to trust myself more. I want to be able to trust in the inspiration more, because this is, exactly the same thing that I do as an artist. It's like, when I have an idea, if I allow myself to go for it and to, just follow the inspiration, then somehow things magically unfold. And then when I kind of, when I start second guessing that and I insist on my own way of doing things, that's where things don't really flow. And so from today, I, saw a lot of places that I've never actually seen before. I tried food that I never tried before. I went to have a drink at a bar, which I've never done before by myself. And and it was a pretty eye-opening experience in terms of trusting the universe and trusting the signs that come along and following the inspiration. And I don't know exactly where that leads, but it is kind of a new experience for me to just, when I feel like I want to do something, to just go and do it. Because usually when I feel like I want to do something, I would start talking myself out of it. Like today when I was at the dentist's office, I mean, this kind of all started when I was at the dentist's office, when I was waiting, for my turn. Like I sat down and there was this girl who was sitting, near me, and she had like this tattoo on her arm. And normally I would not talk to people about, I'm not like a person who would approach strangers. But when I saw this tattoo, I was really intrigued by it, and I decided that I'm just gonna go and ask her about it. And that's what I did. And it really wasn't all that bad. And I don't know why I always think that, it's a bad thing to talk to strangers, like it's a scary thing. I mean, it was kind of scary at first. But what I learned also was that if I just go for it and not overthink it, that's when it actually isn't as scary as I thought. Like if I would, start stopping myself and be like, oh, should I do it? Like maybe, she might think I'm strange or whatever. Then that's where I just don't get it done. And then, at some point the person would leave, like she would have gone into the dentist's office, I guess, clinic. I don't know what do you call a dentist's place? Yeah, she would have gone to see the dentist, and then I would probably never see her again, and then I would kind of regret. And from, looking at the tattoo and asking her about it, I discovered a tattoo artist here in Singapore whose work I really, really like. See, which I never would have found that out if I hadn't talked to her. So, the moral of the story today is, I guess, learn to trust your own intuition, learn to trust the signs around you, learn to trust the universe. Just let go of this need to control every aspect of our lives, and the need to know exactly what's going to come next. Have a random day, use a randomizer app, to guide you along on this adventure of, I don't know, and who knows what might happen, right? So after today, I'm really, I don't know, I feel less resistance towards having a random day and towards following random signs. And who knows what tomorrow might bring, but we shall see. So if you have enjoyed today's video, subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you have any questions about living your dreams, pursuing a passion, creating a worthy and meaningful purpose for yourself, feel free to message me in the comments, or you can also directly contact me through any of my social media links, which are in the write-ups attached to these videos. And I will see you next week.